So we've been doing this series here on this show for a little bit called The Pulse of the Program. Kind of a helpful reset for all of us in the college football world to check in on different institutions and say, hey, what's going on there? What's the pulse of that school or this school? I want to go out to the West Coast, man. Not just literally, but just for this show. I want us to go out to the West Coast and take a pulse of what's going on with the USC Trojans. What's going on out there in South Central? Because last season, it was a year of so close, a year of right there, a year of the fourth quarter, because it's been well documented and said a lot on this show. USC in every single loss, except for the game against Notre Dame, had the lead or was tied in the fourth quarter. For the record, the game against Notre Dame, just to say this one more time, they were driving with a chance in the red zone to then go tie the football game against Notre Dame. So they were right there in that game as well. But when you look at what they're going to be here in 2025, the feel for me is really about them like resetting the temperature of what USC football is. And if you look at the hires that they've made since Lincoln Riley's been there, especially in the last year and a half-ish, USC has been making hires to turn the heat up on what USC football is supposed to be, what their internal standard is. Defense isn't good enough, whether it's Lincoln Riley's call or whether it's Jen Cohen's call. Lincoln Riley parts ways with his former defensive coordinator. Who do they hire? One of the best, I think, coordinators in college football right now, and Dan Lynn. Need to up the efforts on the recruiting trail. Go get Chad Bowden from Notre Dame, who's an absolute killer on the recruiting trail. And then most recently, they go hire a new strength conditioning coach. This was a very, very sneaky hire. They go get Tremaine Carroll, previously at Kansas State, strength conditioning director over there. I'm just saying, Kansas State, they've majored in toughness for a long time. You think about teams that you don't want to see in the fourth quarter. I think Kansas State probably makes that list, or at least that top 10 list. It's an effort to just, again, re-emphasize what USC football is supposed to be. Change in the temperature, intensity, sense of urgency, all those things. That feels like it's now back in-house at USC. And I think you could see that show itself here in 2025. Offensively, when you talk about USC, I think the burden of proof, if you have a doubt around the Trojans on offense, still falls on you to tell me Lincoln Riley won't have a good offense. Because Miller Moss wasn't what I think we all thought it would be last year for the Trojans. But it's not like that. I'll say this again. I'd be shocked if 2 years in a row USC starts a different quarterback from game one to the final game. I don't see that happening. Jaden Mayava, I personally am a believer in. I like the size. I like the mobility. I like the arm talent. More than anything, man, I like the way the guy's wired. We've seen now multiple spots at the end of last season, had a couple of ill-advised throws, shall we say. A couple of turnovers that you wish you had back. I get it, whatever, you move forward. But instead of going in the tank after a bad interception and getting in his head, which would have been very fair to do, you're the quarterback at USC, you just threw a pick against Notre Dame for an interception for a touchdown the other way. It's easy to get in the dumps. Comes back, firing. The bowl game against A&M. Bad first half, comes back, firing. They win the bowl game. Jaden Mayava has a little bit of psychopath to him, which I think will ultimately benefit USC as an offense, benefit Lincoln Riley and that football team. Who he's throwing to, though, he's got weapons. We go down the list of dudes in that receiver room. There's a couple of them. Mekhi Lemon, dog. Jacoby Lane, probably, careful how I say this, I think he's probably the best receiver in the Big Ten not playing for Ohio State. I mean, touchdown receptions a year ago would indicate that. I don't think the USC offense will take a step back from what they were a year ago. I think they'll actually be a lot better than they were from last season, quite frankly. I think it'll be more of a Lincoln Riley brand offense, to put it simply. Defensively, I just feel like they've made lifestyle changes, man. Like we said this after the LSU game. When you turned on the broadcast, you saw a different level of violence, a different level of urgency getting into the football, a different level of tackling from USC that we hadn't seen in previous years under Lincoln Riley. And we watched that game, watched USC win that game, even with how many points they allowed. And we said, okay, good to see. Is this truly who they're going to be, though? If it is, we'll see it throughout the course of the season. And then the season happened, and USC didn't finish how they wanted to finish the year from a record perspective, but it wasn't because the defense wasn't drastically improved. Now, can they take another step? We'll see. But just what I said, I think that the USC defense has truly made the pivot from what they were pre-Danton Lynn. I really do. If it was just a diet, we would have seen it be a one-game thing or a two-game thing or a one-month thing. There's been legit lifestyle changes. USC has made a definitive decision to be a physical tackling football team. I think they practice more physicality. I think the philosophy on defense has changed at USC, and I think that's going to serve them well, obviously, in the Big Ten. So it all comes down to those fourth quarter games, man. We talked to Lincoln Riley on the show, a couple months ago, and just said, a couple of games in the fourth quarter don't go your way. How do y'all go about addressing that? And he said, that's all we talk about. At the point in time, it was winter conditioning for USC. He said, that's all we're talking about during winter conditioning. Can you go find a way to win in the fourth quarter? And quite frankly, finding a way to me, in large part, falls on your leadership. Yes, on your staff, but really in your locker room. Like, is Jaden Maiava going to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, fourth quarter, we find a way to get it done, like they did against A&M? Or Jacoby Lane, does he step up and be a leader and say, we're finding a way in this game. We're going to go win this football game because we just decide to. It's not quite as simple as that, but I think the mindset shift is as simple as that. And I would just beg this one question. USC found a way to get it done in the fourth quarter against A&M. Do we see that carry over from a confidence perspective into 2025 and give them maybe that little edge when they get to the fourth quarter of, hey, we've done this before, we can do this, we know what it feels like, let's go finish. Just saying, doing it once sometimes is all it takes to get that dam to break for the Trojans. So the pulse, the program, reigniting the intensity, resetting the temperature, getting back to what they expect to be at LA. And we've heard too from people, I'll say this before we get out of here, on the USC side, they being people around USC, say that the feeling right now on campus is as much like it was under Pete Carroll as it has been since. So when you were, if you know what that was like when you were, watching Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, Lendale White, and Dwayne Jarrett and that whole crew out there, it was high intensity, it was energy, it was juice, it was confidence, it was swag. If that's what USC is in 2025, look out. I'm not going to predict them to win the Big Ten or predict them to make the college football playoff right now, but I'm just saying at that point, it will not be fun to have to play USC at any point on your schedule.